Ilera today Bukun Bobo Orisha Beo with you guys. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to the channel of Dr. Obà David Alá Aggayú. David Alá Aggayú. I have to get used to saying my name in English. It's not David, it's David in English. Professor David Alá Aggayú. So tonight we're going to touch upon a subject, blessings, AC, many blessings. I know that at this time we're not gonna have many people connected because it's about 12 o'clock. It's about 12 o'clock or 12 a.m. It's 12 a.m. But this is my time. This is the time where I usually get connected. So, and since we're calling the English speaking community now to this new season that we're beginning on YouTube, trying to teach, educate the religious English community, and now with the time, so we're not gonna have many viewers connected, but that's fine. Whether you see it now live or you see it later on, the important thing is that you see it this live so you can enjoy the content and we can all learn a little bit more, little by little. If you're connected, please give a thumbs up, give a like. Si estás conectado, por favor, darle una manito, darle un thumbs up, un like. Down on the left is where you give a like, and down on the right is where you subscribe to the channel. So let's talk a little bit about Holy Week. Happy Holy Week to you too, Claudia. I don't know if you're gonna be saying happy after you hear what I have to say about Holy Week, or what I'm gonna share with you guys, or teach you guys for that matter, about Holy Week. But it is very important. It is very important in our practices, blessing spirituality. I was here yesterday and really enjoyed the content. Thank you very much, Louis. It is, and I'm sure you guys, if you just bear with me, today's life is not gonna be 2 hours, 3 hours. Today's life is gonna be an hour or so. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I'm gonna try not to deviate from the subject into matter, or the matter into subject. I guess that's how you say it. But let's give it like, folks. Vamos a darle una manito. Holy Week. So a lot is talk about Holy Week. A lot is saying about Holy Week. Many religions talk a lot about a lot of different things in Holy Week. You know, some people, they have the tradition of covering their Orishas. Some people have the tradition of their elders. Some people say that they don't believe in that, and some people do believe and some people don't believe. Some people even cover their prendas, their candangos of Palo Mayombe, the how do you say, let me see, how can I say, receptáculo, or the receptáculo, the receptacle, let me see, receptacle. Yes, receptacle. I'm not doing that bad. Just been 24 hours since I started doing English lives for the first time in 15 years in this channel, and you know, I'm saying all these fancy words for me, guys. That's receptacle. It's a fancy word for me. Receptacle. So yes, indeed. Claudia, thank you. So, yes, the receptacle of Palo Mayombe, and they like to cover with a white cloth, the Orishas, and so on. But is this right? Should this be a right thing to do? Uh, where does this where does this habit come from? Where does this habit come from? Where does the habit of the practice, the of covering the Orishas, or or tradition? Yes, Brian, thank you very much. Comes from, and I would like to bring up the topic of Holy Week. That is the topic for today's life. Should we cover the Orishas? Should we not cover the Orishas? Is it our fault? Is it the fault of Afro-Cuban? Is it the fault of Yoruba? Whose fault is it? Personally, guys, let me just break the ice in here and be very straight to the point. I don't subscribe. I don't subscribe to the beliefs of Holy Week, nor do I think that the enchantment or spiritual bosses or sacrifices we or anyone else might do, for that matter, has more potency or energy or strength than any other times or day that we do. A lot of people in the Lukumi tradition, they say, if you do this above, this spiritual job, it's gonna have more strength, more enchantment, more that's not, it's not true. It's just nonsense. Nonsense. It's not, and all of this because an allegedly elder or ancestor who said, hypothetically speaking, 60, 70, 80 years ago in Cuba, that Holy Week should be respected. Yeah, you can respect Holy Week, just like if you want to respect Halloween, if you want to respect Christmas, if you want to, please guys, I invite you to share this live into different platforms so the information can be spread, and Orishas Alejos, Ogberi, Orishas, Orishas, Paleros, Obà Oriaté, Babalawos, they understand the tradition where this comes from, because it's very important to understand why things exist these days, especially if it's a faith, if it's a religion, no? And that's fine. If an elder said 70 years ago, per se, that Holy Week should be respected, but we all know this was said without foundation or logic, because also we have a lot of many elders, ancestors, and alagbas also that did not believe in the so-called Holy Week, which is not that holy. Just to let you know, when you go to see the root of the practice. Where does it come from? So ancestors, a lot of Alakbas, a lot of ancestors did not believe in Holy Week. I'm talking about Hispanic, Afro-Cuban ancestors. So then, why are we obligated to believe in this non-Yoruba, either Lukumi, much less Nkinsi Malongo, Palo Mayombe, tradition? Hell, for all I know, Holy Week doesn't even have nothing to do with Spiritism, with Afro-Cuban Spiritism, for all I know. And for all I studied before, while has a moderator of my channel, you have 24 hours to send me the email with your phone number to be added to the group. If you want to keep being a moderator from the channel, mijo, okay? Many blessings. So you know why it has no connection. Holy Week has no connection with the Yoruba Lukumi tradition, practices, and ancestral traditions. And when we touch this subject of Holy Week, we have to talk about Victoria Moreira Presas, Omoshile Dashe, which was a very, very old Cuban ancestor practitioner. She crowned Yewa when she was 15 days old. She crowned Yewa. Her grandmother was Nya Serafina Dashe Omo Yewa. And after she was born in 1901, she was born in 1901, and on Resurrection Sunday, 15 days later, on a Resurrection Sundays, on a Resurrection Sunday in Holy Week, 15 days later, she crowned Yewa. They crowned her Yewa on a Resurrection Sunday, on a Holy Week. And she lived for 99 years. She lived for 99 years. And she used to live in the corner of Corral Falso corner of Angels in Guanabacoa, Havana, Cuba. No? And she got scrapped, like how do you say that? She got the person that directed her ceremony was Latuan, the woman that scratched her head of Victoria Moreira was Latuan, and she got initiated when she was 15 days old. Like my son, I have a baby of 11 months old. I initiated my baby I fully initiated my baby into Orisha, like the full 7-day Afro-Cuban Yoruba Lukumi tradition. As a matter of fact, he's an Ijawo right now. I initiated him with 16 days of being born. We got out of the hospital when he was 9 days old. We got out of the hospital when he was 11 days old. We got to the house, we prepared everything. He got scratched into Engello and Tata. He got scratched into Nkinsi Malongo, Palo Mayombe. They call it Palo Mayombe, but it's not really called Palo Mayombe. It's called Nkinsi Malongo, the praise to the nature. And my son got initiated into Orisha. And I got a lot of critics. Oh, how are you going to initiate your son? He's so small, he's so little. Yeah, he's so small, he's so little. So the same ceremonies you do to a big person, you can do it to a baby. And you can do it to a very, very extremely elderly person. It's not like you're gonna do Ifa, or you're gonna swear in Orun, or you're gonna do another crazy deep ceremony. You're just gonna get initiated into Orisha. I mean, it is a deep ceremony, but it's not something that age should be a problem with. So you know what I'm saying? Denle un like a la directa, un me gusta. So you know, I'm just telling my Spanish folks to give a like to the live. So you know what I'm saying, guys? But that's not how it works. If we look at history, baptism, Catholic baptism, it's something that it's born. They put it into the Odu of Afro-Cuban Lukumi Ifa diaspora. Let's just call it. They call it diaspora to put a nicer name to it. Well, it's just Afro-Cuban Ifa Lukumi, Lukumi Ifa, which they call it diaspora, and Isheshe, which is the what this day wrongly they call Yoruba. And I will be talking about. Thank you very much, Marcelino. I will be talking about why wrongly Isheshe, but you know that's not the point. That's not the root or the topic for the life right now. No, Santeria, Orisha, you know, Orisha practice. That should be the right name, Orisha practice. You know, in Cuba they call it Santeria, but they don't even call it Santeria anymore. Santeria was like Spanish, especially Afro-Cubans, anthropologists, and investigators that was not initiated was they were the one who spread that concept of Santeria, because in Cuba they used to always call it, you know, Orishas, like all the time for 500 years. Orisha practice, you know, that's Orisha practice, Orisha believers. And the thing is that in the Odun of the Ifa diaspora of Juanita and Shela, they put in that Odun the baptism. Yes, Chando, we had Spiritism class today, and it was a very, very, very extremely good, as a matter of fact. Because right now in the school of Spiritism, we are teaching what are the different ways on how you can prepare the colognes for the spirit. Because everybody wants to use cologne, 1800, cologne this, cologne that, cologne from Botanicas, and that's fine. I have a Botanica, I sell colognes, but I sell everything they come to buy. But I don't put that cologne to my spirits. I do my own cologne to my spirits, you know. I prepare my spirits, my boveda, my spiritual vault, their own colognes with their own herbs, their own oils, their own. But let's get to Holy Week, people, because this is a very important, and it has become an issue. It has become an issue, you know. And the thing is that the church in Cuba wanted to put Ifa in all the Odun that speaks of the church. Wanted to put the church in all the Oduns of Ifa, declared by the government back then. Like in Ofun Meji, in the Ifa diaspora, Afro-Cuban Lukumi, Ofun Meji speaks about church, about the Virgin Mary, or Ofun Agbe, Ofun Ogbe, Ofun on the right, and Ogbe on the left. In the diaspora, it speaks about the Virgin Mary. In the Afro-Cuban Lukumi in Ifa. So, Ofun Viroso also speaks about Ofun Viroso speaks that the mother, give me a second. Sorry, guys. Ofun Viroso speaks that the mother of Orumila was this lady called the Virgin of Rosario. I mean, what kind of thing is that, guys? The virgin of the mother of Orumila was the virgin of the Rosemary. Rosemary was the virgin, the Rosemary virgin, the virgin of Rosemary was the mother of Orumila. I mean, we're so. And then if you say something, in Cuban Babalaos get mad. No, you can't get mad. I'm speaking facts. I'm speaking facts. You open any of this. I mean, this is not something I'm coming up with. I'm being, So then you talk about real facts, lineage, traditions, and people start to get hiccups, and they start to sweat. Oh my God, what am I gonna say back? Oh, I don't have nothing to say back. I might as well just offend and say and disrespect. The offensiveness and disrespectfulness gets to the door when the ignorance appears, or not the ignorance, the lack of knowledge, but what this is. And the thing is that what a coincidence that in this Afro-Cuban Lukumi diaspora religion, we always see, or most of the times, a lot of babalaos. It's a babalao that is, it's saying, it's a babalao saying to a godson or a goddaughter, excuse me, oh, you have to cover your Orishas. It's Holy Week. You cannot work any spiritual labor. It's Holy Week. I even know spirit. Guys, how do you say espiritistas in English? How do you say espiritistas in English? People who practice the spiritism. Mediums? I even know, but not everybody's a medium. Everybody could be a medium, but since they're not in Dr. David Alá Aggayú's class, they're not a medium. I know people, spiritualist, okay. I even know spiritualists that cover the spiritual vault. There's a spiritual vault with a white cloth on top of, like, they cover the cups and everything. I know this is not right. I have never met a babalao that has covered his Orumila, his Ifa on Holy Week. I have never seen that. So we have people telling all Orishas, religious people initiated into Orishas, aleyos, what they so wrongly called aleyos, which the word aleyo is very misinterpreted. That's not the way you called a person that is not initiated. It's not called aleyo. It's called aborisha. Aborisha is how the person is called when it's not initiated in Orisha. And a person that believes in Orisha, in the Orishas, but does not have anything received, it's just the person that just believed and gets a reading once in a while, that person is called an Ogberi. And the other one, who, ile, house, yo. Ones who gets to a place, ones who has come from outside, ones not from outside, from like far away. So, like, in other words, remember Yoruba, it's like a dialect. So yes, what it means is a visitor. And never seen a babalao. We have many babalaos telling in the diaspora, telling their god children, cover your Orishas, cover this, cover that. And I never seen a babalao with their ifa covered with a cloth. I never seen that. On the contrary, I see many babalaos initiating people in Holy Week, in Orun, Osain, Abita, doing Ifases. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, because there's nothing wrong. There shouldn't be nothing wrong with working religion in Holy Week, because Holy Week doesn't have nothing to do with Orisha spiritism, Ifa, or Palo Mayombe practice. But where they're wrong is on telling people that they have to cover their Orishas, and then they go and they start working Ifa. So that's, and I'm not saying all Babalaos, and I'm not talking bad about all Babalaos. I'm just saying that it's wrong for you to preach what you don't do. And and you don't do it because you know it's wrong, and you keep telling people to do it. So maybe it's because botanicals are closed this week due to that, and say don't do any above. Well, sweetheart, or my brother, I don't know what botanica is closed, because I own the biggest and most filled with merchandise, like good Isheshe, Yoruba, diaspora for Cuban. We have everything in my botanica. I own the biggest botanica in the whole state of Texas, and it's located in Houston. It's called Botanica Orisha Lerí. Botanica Orisha Lerí is here in Houston, and we open 7 days a week, and we will be open this 7 days a week. We're the most complete botanica. I don't know about the rest of the country, but in Texas, not only Houston, in Texas, we have everything for you. You Google our name and the phone number, address, everything is going to come out. We're in Houston. Botanica Orisha Lerí. We shipped to the whole United States and the whole world. So, as a matter of fact, I'm doing an Oya this Saturday. I'm initiating my godson, number 84. I'm doing the Orisha 84. I have more than 12,000 god surgeries, but Orishas mean crowning an Orisha, a person being born from my Aggayú. I only have 84 crown, because I don't like to do Orisha. I don't like to initiate just anybody. Dr. David, subtitles are not available. Subtitles, you are the one that has to make them available. You have to make them available, Alejandra. Tienes que hacerlo disponible. Tienes que encender esa opción. You have to turn on the subtitle available. The subtitle option. So guys, then, so, it's the same as, how in Oshemeji, it says, somebody else makes the mistakes, and we got to pay the price for something that they wanted to write in Ifa, and that has nothing to do with the Orisha practice. And so nowadays, I see that there are things that it's getting manifested in Ifa, and everybody expects us Orisha practitioners to follow those things that are manifested in Ifa. Why should we have to follow, respect, and be abiding religious, guide ourselves with a concept that doesn't even have nothing to do with Orisha practice, a concept that it's not even born in the Dilogún practice. It's a concept that is not in the Dilogún tradition, it's in Ifa, and it's two different complete traditions, one being older than the other ones, as a matter of fact, and we will touch the subject on why Erin Dilogún is very, 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 very older. Erin Dilogún, it's older than the practice of Ifa in what today is called Yoruba land in West Africa. So, then all Orishas, aleyos, Orishas, and basically every religious person, it's, they get criticized if they don't do a series of concepts and dogmas. Let me see something, guys. Hold up. Dogma. A series of concepts. It looks so funny. It looks so funny seeing a person in a YouTube live and then having the translator application, and then when the person doesn't know a word, just to put it in there so the computer can repeat it and you can better in the accent. Hey, but that's just telling you that when you really want to do something, you put every effort that is in your side. Blessings, Tata Matamba. I'll get to that right now, Yusna. So, and the thing is that many elders say that the Orishas had to be covered in Holy Week to remember how the wise man, in the Catholic religion, which is known as Jesus Christ, had died because of the devil who was loose those days. And that is a belief that comes from Cuba. And that belief was brought into Cuba by colonism. That Jesus died on the day that he died because the devil was loose on that day. And this story of covering the Orishas, because of that reason, with a white cloth, comes from an Odu of Ifa. That story comes from an Odu of Ifa, in which Odu of Ifa, which was implanted, because there's no such thing as Holy Week in Orisha practice or Ifa. So in which Odu Ifa of the diaspora tradition, it says that the devil was loose. Well, the story is on Okanafun, Okaranfun. That is such of nonsense. There's also Babalaos who say Jesus was a Babalao and Esho was the one that tempted him. You know what? If it was for many Babalaos, they will even say that Socrates was, welcome. Thank you for joining our loyal membership program, Alejandra Vázquez. Muchas gracias. I invite you guys, if you guys want to be part of my close member VIP friends club, I invite you. That is such of nonsense. That is like, in order for you to say that Jesus Christ was a Babalao, you have to be the most illiterate person ever be born in earth, and being the most ignorant, academically wise, religious person ever been initiated into this religion of Orisha, Nkinsi Malongo, Ifa, Spiritism, whatever the hell you practice, for you to say that Jesus Christ was Babalao. That makes no sense whatsoever. Chronologically, historically goes against all concepts of history. Yes, Cubans Babalao invented that, and they put it upon the Odun Ojekumeji. because, you know, unfortunately, it is sad to say, but Cubans, and I'm not going to say we Cubans, but yes, I'm Cuban, but I'm not part of that Cuban group. But Cubans, they just love to invent so much. Not only Cubans, many people from many other countries like to invent so much because a lot of things have not only been invented in Cuba. There is a lot of new practice that is also being invented in Nigeria. But I'm not going to touch that subject today. But Cubans, when it comes to the experts of the masters of creating the intervention of what's never been created, you give the title to Cuban, baby. Cuban, he's wherever you can drop a Cuban in the middle of the Hawaiian desert and he'll do a freaking bistec milanesa. He'll do a bistec milanesa. Cuban, when it comes to invention, Albert Einstein don't got shit on Cubans. And I'm sorry for the word. Albert Einstein doesn't have nothing on Cubans when it comes to invention. And they have invented all of this weird nonsense and brought it up to, I mean, I love my Afro-Cuban religion, my Afro-Cuban diaspora. I was born and I'm gonna die with my practices because it just makes no sense whatsoever. My ancestors are not Yorubas, they're not Africans, they're Cubans, you know. So all these people that they're getting initiated into Afro-Cuban diaspora, and then 2 or 3 years after they go into Isheshe, that just makes no sense whatsoever. And it even goes against Odu, you know, in the Odu of Erin Dilogún. I can even back it up with Dilogún. I can back it up with Ifa. I can back it up with many Odus that says if you turn your back if you turn your back onto your ancestors, your Ori in heaven will not remember your spirit, your soul. You know? Ogunda yeku ni kolobe. Ogunda yeku sodo loko ni okobobele koku. Kogolo ori, kobolo ori ni okodo bakala bumari ku alorun. Oria dagala bunga gunguni okoloma sobulemi. It says Ogunda yeku. If you turn your back onto your if you turn your back to your ancestors, to your lineage, to your real blood, you know what I'm saying? You will not be remembering him. And when you crown Orisha in the diaspora, when you got initiated with the Obà Oriaté and the high priest, the master of ceremony of Orisha, mentioning the spirits, the ancestors of Afro-Cuban practices. Nobody mentioned no ancestor of African ancestor, Yoruba ancestor. They mention ancestors of Afro-Cuban practice because this belief, this religion, it arrived in Cuba in the year 1518. We've been practicing Orisha practices for more than 500 years. Way more time than when Ifa got to Yoruba. When Ifa arrived in Nigeria. Ifa arrived in Nigeria in the year 1615. And I can back it up to you guys with more than 5 literatures. 1615. By the Muslims and the importation of the Chinese, by the old code of Aishin. What I'm saying? But we're not going to touch that subject now because we're not talking about that. We're talking about Holy Week. Definitely the Afro-Cuban has something very special. Very special. And I love Afro-Cuban. And I will never leave my Afro-Cubanity. Although I'm I'm an addictive study person, investigator of all of our roots, Yoruba literature, tradition, Afro-Cuban diaspora, Orisha literature, tradition, Candomblé literature, tradition, voodoo, hoodoo, Benin, Arara, Dahomey, Abomey, Congo, Bantu, being a writer, being an author. I love to read. That's my addiction. It has become an addiction over the years, and I can't help it. I can read a million Nigerian, Yoruba practice, West African books, but from reading to have the knowledge so I can share the knowledge, to then leave behind my practice, throw my Orishas away, receive new Orishas, and practice and changing religion, because when you leave one part to go to another, you're changing completely the religion. Most of the Yoruba people die studying Afro-Cuban lineage. They still can't believe how they became so big. That is so true. That is so true. Even Professor, my friend Professor Wanda Bimbola, when he arrived for the first time, I believe the first time he arrived in Cuba was in 1884 or 1886. I think it was 1884? 1884. I think it was 1884, 1886. He told back then the people who received them, the Obà Oriaté, the Orishas, the Babalaos, he told them, teach me, what are you guys doing, Olokun? What are you guys doing, Obaluaye? Because we don't know nothing about this. Next thing you know, 37 years later, almost 40 years later, because I was born in 1986 and I'm 37. September 2nd, 1986, Virgo. 1986, my friend Professor Wanda Bimbola. And 37 years later, next thing you know, we have people getting initiated direct into Olokun practices in Nigeria. What kind of thing is this? When we go to the chronologically speaking, the historic, we're gonna speak. You guys wanted me to do English content, huh? Now I'm gonna fill social media. It's gonna be like a plague of prosper knowledge, like a prosper plague of knowledge. And I'm gonna give you guys some good, strong, historic facts on this channel that no one else has given it to you any place else, much less social media, even less on YouTube. 90% of them, they don't know it. And the other 10% of them do know it, but of course, they're not going to say nothing. So, Inokanafun, well, I hope I get loose little by little, day by day, use now. In the diaspora of Ifa, for Cuban Lukumi, Inokanafun, we have a Pataki and Itan, a story. I'm going to do the live in a couple of days or next week, the differences of Afro-Cuban Lukumi traditions and Isheshe, Aboriginal Isheshe tradition. I'm not going to speak about Tonti right now, spiritual influence. That is the most absurd word that I have heard in my whole life, that those people, those Obà David that says Tonti, when I hear that word, it's just it makes me so sick, because that's the most idiotic, the most dense, the 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 most ignorant and illiterate word that or term, not word. I have a problem with the term, not with the word. The word exists, but that word actually belongs to Ifa, not to Erin Dilogún. Under no circumstances, that word belongs to Dilogún. That word belongs to the Odu of Ifa, Okana Osode, Okana Obe, where it says Oshun Tonti Oya Tonti Oshun. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, getting back to the subject, in Okanafun, in Ifa, there's a story that says that at the beginning of the world, Olodumare had called the 401 Irumoles and put them in a garden called, there was a garden. Hold on. I want to be able to pronounce correctly. Garden. Okay. Garden. Okay. Sorry, guys. I know I'm going to look like a crazy maniac, repeating the same word all over again. But if I don't do it like this, I'm not going to get good at speaking English. And eventually, before this year finish, I want this to be in 100% like a good quality bilingual English channel. George, por la misma razón que tengo 1 millón de seguidores, porque digo la verdad. So then, guys, in Okanafun, at the beginning of the creation, Olodumare had told the 401 Irumole to go to this garden that Olodumare had, that it was called Obashe. That's how the garden of heaven of Olodumare, not God, not God's heaven. I'm talking about Olodumare space, which in the Bible will be considered as heaven. In Yoruba tradition, there's no such thing as heaven, and there's no such thing as hell. We will talk about this one day. And anyways, and the garden of Olodumare was called Obashe, which means the garden of power. You know? The garden of power. But in the garden of Olodumare also had 16 how can we put this? How can we say it? 16 figures, 16 spiritualities, 16 names that lived in there. And the Olodumare had told the Irumoles one day to stay in the garden of Obashe for 7 days. And because Eshu Abita, which is not the devil, mind you, he's just an Eshu. You know, he's just an Eshu that went against Olodumare's will. As a matter of fact, the name of Abita comes from the word Ebita, which means who is born in the corner. Ebi Erita, who is born in the corner, or who is born in the path of the four corner path, on the roads, you know. And this is a hypothetical translation, meaning the roads of Olodumare's face, you know, Ebita. But here is where the story of when the Irumoles were put in the garden of Obà, the garden of power, which is represented by the sheet with which they covered the Orishas, and where they made good requests for humanity. And this sheet that I'm talking about the sheet that we put in the entrance, the white sheet we put in the entrance of the Ibodun of Orisha initiation, and or Ibodun Ifa initiation also. But Eshu Abita, had provoked the problem by the proposal of Orunmila. And Abita wanted to kill Orunmila, wanted to exterminate Orunmila. So Eshu Abita failed, and Orunmila returned, and the Pataki, the Itang, the story of Okanafun says that the Abita resurrected, Orunmila resurrected. That that the Orunmila resurrected, and that then these powers, Orunmila was given. These powers was given to Orunmila over the Irumoles, and this became eternal life. So that's the allegedly, the alleged story, mythological story, that it's integrated into the diaspora corpus of Ifa, Okanafun. And this is where the story of the white sheet, that you cover the Orishas with the white sheet and all of this nonsense stuff came from. But the problem that what I see here in this Pataki of Ifa is that this makes more or less an allusion to the resurrection of Jesus. And for that reason, it is suspected that the ancestors, our ancestors, saw it in this same way, has covered by the saints in Holy Week because of the devil was released. They were referring to the devil as Abita, referring to the devil has he who went against the will of God, like the word devil, the origin, the etymology of the word devil comes from to slander, to cross, or to throw, or to be a abnegate, and they got this story that involves the white sheet. From this story, and they put it into this mixture of Catholicism, that we have to cover the Orishas. But it is suspected that this was never done back then. And if in this path it speaks of the possibility of how the Irumole were gathered in that week to do good, so, and the Orunmila was the one that was harmed, then I don't know why, I don't understand. If this story is in the time of Ifa, then why do all Orishas has to be the one who's covering the Orishas and not Babalaos? Because if we're going to put this story into context and practice, Babalaos are the one that's supposed to be covering their Ifa. Babala. Oh yeah, my skull shirt. You know what I'm saying? Um, for example, if we analyze this story, the one we should be covering in the Holy Week, it's Orunmila, not the Orisha, because Orunmila was the one who played the leading role in the story of Okanafun, not the Orishas. And then we also, on the other hand, have the Yoruba people called Holy Week, Oshe Ojinde, because of the influence that they had with Christians in Nigeria, which there's 20 million Christians living in Nigeria right now. Now, when we look at the story, we see that the first ever Christian service that was held in Nigeria was in Abeokuta, and it was a Sunday, January 5th, 1843. And that man, according to literature, it says that man that preached that day, his name was Townsend, and he preached the biblical story of the passage Luke 14, 12 to 24. And when the service was done in the house of the chief Sodeke, it was in the house of this chief back then called Sodeke, you know. And another person called Andrew de Salu, who was a former slave in the land of Egba. But then, you know, Andrew, this man was already by then liberated as a slave from the land of Badagry and served as an interpreter to the places he went. So the Nigerians, just because they gave food that day, they associated this event to the Odun Osheni Logbe, because that day the preaching was about food, implying that the greatest abode that a religious person had was to give food, but not to give food to a friend, to a stranger, but like to a homeless or a needy or to a person that they didn't know. And this is also the reason why it had been preached that day, and they put it into the corpus of Ifa. Also in Luke 14, the verse that it's a very long verse from 12 to 24. It says that when you make food, do not call your friends or your relative, but you need to call the needy, the poor, or the blind, you know. And that's exactly what a lot of Odun in Erin Dilogún and Ifa says, like Oshe Ogbe, Ogbe Jekun, you know, Eji Ogbe, you know. So that's why in that Odun it was written that the person was not going to be lack of food ever again. You know, just like this example, we could mention many more samples. We can mention many more samples that can demonstrate that many Yoruba and Lukumi practices today is Christian influence from West Africa. So, you know, when we talk about this, we do need to understand that given the slave trade that the religion came from with a lot of rupture, it had already came from that rupture from Nigeria. So we are at that point at this moment that if you look at statistics, it is said that in Nigeria there are 80 million people, ballpark. You know, almost half of them are Muslims, and the other half of them are from different religions. And out of those half of different religions, more than half of the half are Christians. More than 20 million people in Nigeria are Christians. And why do I tell you this, guy? Why do I mention this? Because Christians and Catholics have spread like a plague, you know, of roaches, ladies and gentlemen. Christians, Catholics, and they have done so much harm to our religion, not only in Cuba but since Africa, since the beginning of the beginning. You know, many Gelede women, many Amazonic women from the Benin Republic of Benin, many women from old Ojo, from the old empire of Ojo, many women in Congo, Bantu, many women and kids have been assassinated by the man that, and you know, a lot of fault of this has been Christians' fault, has been Muslims' fault back then. I don't know about Muslim now, but I'm talking about back then. 1800s, 1700s, 1600s. And this is something that is, like some people would not talk about this because it can hurt other people's feelings, but for the sake of the story and out of the respect we owe to our ancestors, saying the real story when we have the knowledge of it, and we have many literature reference we can consult. We can consult my book. I have a book that is called The History of the Yorubas. It has 1,200 pages, 1,200 pages, but it's only available in Spanish on my website, davidalaggayú.com. But there's also there's a lot of history books in English, guys. There's a lot of history books in English, guys. There's a lot of history. I had to yawn. I'm tired. A lot of history books in English. You know, Orisha, Lukumi, Yoruba, this tradition, beautiful tradition, we have not expanded as much as we have supposed to be expanded out there in the world by now. All because of, first of all, because of our fault, because of lack of study, because of lack of spreading the truth. And also, not just so much because of the global impact, that it has been because of the same lack of unity that exists within this religion by the same religious peoples who want to impose their dogmas and customs to us. But let me tell you something, if we go a little bit further back, if we go like further back, we see that yes, you can be a member of my channel. Yeah, you can subscribe. You can be a special member of the channel. You can also, you know, to my schools. All of my 5 schools are available in davidalaggayú.com. Registrations are open today. Registrations are open today in all of my 5 schools. So, you know, guys, this is, don't ever cover your Orishas, because on Holy Week on Earth, covering an Orisha is a symbolism of Itutu. ituto, which is a ceremony that we do to you when you passed away. But if we go a little bit further back and we see where this Holy Week really comes from and how did it got mixed up with the religion, we got to see that in reality, the Holy Week, the origin of Holy Week comes from the Jewish Passover. The Jewish Passover, because it was believed that Jesus Christ, had been crucified and resurrected in the week of Jewish Passover. So Christians have the belief that Christ is the Lamb of the Passover that is spoken of in the biblical book of Exodus, because supposedly Jesus, had sacrificed himself without having sinned for the sins of the whole world. Not so they say. And the Jewish who wanted to follow Jesus Christ wanted to honor that day, to continue taking him for what he had done. But when we put, historically, it is proven that in reality Jesus Christ he passed away in summer. Historically, this is proven by National Geographic, Discovery Channel, by all the big people out there. It has been proven that Jesus Christ died from July to August. From July to August. Those 2 months that there were a lot of heat. A lot of heat, a lot of calor, in the city where Jesus Christ was born, which is Belén, or Belén, I don't know how to say Belén in English, which is in Israel, Other academics suggest that Jesus Christ is from Galilee, was born in Galilee, which is like 300 kilometers north of Jerusalem. And it's a proven fact. It's a proven fact that Jesus, scientists, many scholars, University of California, University of Miami, all these universities have done study on the time frames where everybody think where Jesus died, and none of the universities have come to the agreement that Jesus Christ passed away in December 25th. That is the craziest thing that anybody can say in this religion. I mean, if you want to do Christmas because you like Christmas, I love Christmas, go ahead. It's fine. It's a nice, although Christmas comes from the Germans, because when we're gonna look at the story of Christmas, we have to know that is like Christmas. It's something that doesn't even come from Jesus Christ. Christmas is something that doesn't even come from this godly beliefs. So that when I practice Christmas, They want to do all this stuff, but they don't want to get into the deep studies of history, tradition, anthropology, Orisha, Ifa, real context. Real context. Guys, don't ever cover your Orishas in Holy Week. That can do a lot of harm to you. That can do a lot of harm to you. You know? And that's what I want to share with you. I wanted to give you guys a basic insight of Holy Week, because this subject spoken yes, spirituality. That's right. The date it got mixed with the practice of 221 years after Christ, and it came by 60th Julius Africanus, which was a historian, Christian, you know, and he became this date 25th of December. He was the person in charge to tell the world, to lie to the world practically, that Jesus Christ was born on the 25th of December. His name was what's the whole name of this guy? The Julius Sextus Julius Sextus. I'm sorry, Sextus Julius Africanus. So if you guys, do you guys have any questions? Tomorrow I'm going to do a live in Spanish, a good live in Spanish. Tomorrow it's going to get good in my YouTube channel. I mean, it gets good every day because this subject might seem a little boring to some people, but it is a very important subject that 99% of the people don't know. Information that 99% of the people don't know. I feel digitally depressed having 50. No, I don't feel depressed. I have to be, you know, when I do my lives here, 4, 5, 6, 700 people connect, but I have to thank Olodumare Aggayú, which is my Orisha. I like Batori. I have to thank my spirits, my Orisha Aggayú, my guardian angel, my Orisha Batori. That at least I have 50 strong. What is the life tomorrow going to be about? The guy, Marcelino, has his eyes open like saying, ooh, Mufasa. Guys, if you have not give a like to the live, please give a thumbs up. Guys, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I will be uploading videos and I will be doing lives in English of issue that it's going to be astonishing. I guarantee you just now. It's just that right now I'm leaving those live for later on the road where a little bit of more English speakers connect to this YouTube channel. It's okay, about our English community will grow slowly but surely. Yeah, I know it'll grow little by little. Only, you know, I can only get there, acquire that with the help of my English followers and Spanish followers as well. So many blessings, guy. I hope you enjoyed the little information that I shared with you about Holy Week and where does the practice of Holy Week is born in what Odu of Ifa Okana Ofun, and it's with the story of Abita and the white cloth and Orumila, and the rest of the good stuff. I'll probably do another live tomorrow about the same subject, Holy Week, but tomorrow is gonna be in Spanish. Blessings. Y leerá a ti oriré. Health and luck. Good luck and health. Y leerá a ti oriré. Y bukun, which means blessings. Bogbo Orisha. All the deities. Agbewo. May lift you up. And remember, guys, many candles makes a sun. Polishing brilliant minds. Dr. Obà David Alá Aggayú here at my YouTube channel. This is always sponsored by my botanica, Orishas, and by www.davidalagayu.com, where you have the availability to register to 5 different religious studies that is going to be a seed that you're gonna it is going to be a seed that you're going to sow. It is going to be a seed that you're going to sow, and it is going to be a seed that definitely is going to grow more than what you think. Blessings. Professor David Alá Aggayú with you guys. Have a good night.